All right, folks, welcome. I hope that you can all hear me okay and see my slides. I see we have 9 people, 10 people, and counting. So that's good. While everyone is filing in, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Dr. Zach Patterson, and I'm a professor here in the Department of Neuroscience at Carleton University. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your Saturdays to join us here today. I'm going to give you kind of a quick rundown of what the Department of Neuroscience here at Carleton University is all about, and please feel free to ask any questions. So you can type them into the chat box, the Q&A box there, and I'd be happy to answer all of your questions. My main priority here today is to make sure that all of your questions get answered. So please don't hesitate to ask. And I would also encourage you to attend our booth. If there are certain things that I say in this presentation you want to talk more about, we're going to hang out in our booth for another couple of hours here. So we'd be happy to have a more kind of nuanced or more in-depth conversation with you there. So I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to Carleton University Neuroscience. The overview of my presentation today, probably the most common question I get is like, what is neuroscience? What does that even mean? What do people in a neuroscience lab do? So I'll spend a couple of minutes just giving a kind of a high level overview of the field of neuroscience and what it's all about. I'll do a quick recap of our 2 undergraduate programs. I won't spend too much time talking about those because all that information is available on the website. But of course, if you have specific questions about these programs, I would be more than happy to answer those questions. And then I'll kind of give you our sales pitch. Why choose Carleton Neuroscience? What makes us special? What makes us unique? What does our program offer that some of the other neuroscience programs across the country don't? Meet our neuroscience students and faculty. Well, it's just me here today in our presentation, but of course we do have other faculty members. I did see Alex Edwards in here, Dr. Edwards. So I think he just left, but he'll be hanging out in the booth. We also have a couple students, real live neuroscience students. And I think it's a great opportunity for you to connect with our students and ask them questions about, what it's like to be in our program. What does first year look like? What should we expect if we get into this program? So our students are hanging out in our booth and would be more than happy to chat with you if you're interested in that. And then lastly, I'll talk about kind of what can you expect from this program? Like what careers can you get? Where do our students go after graduating from our program? Okay. So what is neuroscience? This is a tough question. It keeps changing all the time. It really is a fast-paced, evolving field. Neuroscientists are interested in the physical nervous system. So the kind of the brain, the spinal cord, how it develops, how it works, how it adapts. And perhaps most importantly, what happens when things go wrong? If the brain's not working like it's supposed to work, what happens? What are some of the diseases or lapses in cognition or behavioral disorders? So we're really interested in kind of figuring out what happens when things go wrong in the brain, and then what can we do about it to try to correct those those issues and improve cognition or behavior or whatever the case is. So we explore how the physical brain underlies cognition and behavior. And I would say the field of neuroscience is very multidisciplinary, and it gets more and more multidisciplinary as the field evolves. So of course, neuroscience started kind of from other disciplines such as biology and psychology. But there's so many different aspects of the field that it really is kind of this multidisciplinary evolving field. I think there's a big component of computer science and artificial intelligence and big data. All of these kind of pieces of technology that are evolving are really impacting our field in a really exciting way. So that is a very general, a very vague overview of what neuroscience is. I want to take a couple minutes here to introduce our program. So Carleton University was the first university to have a standalone undergraduate neuroscience program. It's something that we're very proud of. Our department was founded in 2010. At that time, I was actually a student here. I am a product of our programs. And I was a student back in 2010. And at that time, we were kind of housed under the umbrella of psychology. And the field of neuroscience was just advancing so fast that it made a lot of sense for the Department of Neuroscience to be kind of a standalone department. So no longer under the umbrella of psychology, but we are a standalone Department of Neuroscience within the Faculty of Science here at Carleton. And then a couple of years later, in 2012, we launched our 2 undergraduate neuroscience programs. So I'm going to tell you what those programs look like here on the next couple of slides. But we are, our programs were developed very recently by neuroscientists working in the field. So this is kind of, the latest and greatest our field has to offer. This program was developed by neuroscientists who are currently working in the field. So again, we're pretty proud of that. We do think our programs reflect kind of the latest and greatest that the field of neuroscience has to offer. So this is a lot on one slide. So let me just, before your eyes start going crazy on this slide, let me just kind of walk you through what the 4 years of a neuroscience program would look like. So this first program I'm going to walk you through is the Neuroscience and Mental Health program. The other program that we offer is the Neuroscience and Biology Combined Honors. Okay, so both programs, they certainly have similarities, but there are some differences as well. So I'll talk about the Neuroscience and Biology Combined Honors on the very next slide. So this is our Neuroscience and Mental Health program. You can see here on the very left-hand column, this is year 1. Honestly, year 1 doesn't look too much different than any other first-year science student. So you're taking your first year biology, your first year chemistry, physics, and math. And that is pretty standard across the entire Faculty of Science. So it doesn't matter if you're a biology student or a chemistry student or whatever program in the Faculty of Science you're in, you're going to be taking those kind of hard sciences first year. However, we do offer 2 introductory neuroscience courses right out of the gate. Okay, so right in first year, we expose you to neuroscience, right from day 1, week 1. We have 2 introductory neuroscience courses. The first one is called Neuroscience of Mental Health and Psychiatric Disease. So this course would cover things like anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, drug addiction, lots of really cool and very relevant topics that are, very much have a lot to do with the brain. And then the second course here is Neuro 1203, the Neuroscience of Mental Health and Neurological Disease. I actually teach this course. So this is one of my courses. It is a very fun course. We talk about kind of the major neurological diseases or disorders like Parkinson's, Huntington's, Alzheimer's disease, ALS, epilepsy. And we really go through all of these diseases and disorders right in first year. These courses have a very, I would say, clinical focus. So we kind of talk about some of the symptoms, that people present when they have Parkinson's disease. And then we kind of dive in and look at what's going on in the brain, what regions are damaged or malfunctioning that lead to these clinical symptoms. And then, of course, we'll always talk about so what can we do about it? Is there any treatment strategies, any management options that we can help kind of correct those deficiencies in the brain in order to help these people live happy and healthy lives. So that's your first year. I should also say, I don't want you to cringe too hard when you see physics and math here. A lot of our students don't like taking physics and math. You have to take those 2 courses in first year, and then you're done with them, right? So you got to take physics and math once, and then of course you can continue to take physics and math if that's something you're interested in. But as far as our programs go, we only require those first year physics and math courses. One of the things I love most about Carleton University is there are so many supports and services available to you if you want help. Okay. So again, going back to like, first year calculus, if you're not a math person, if your brain just doesn't think like that, um, don't shy away from getting into these programs where you have to take math, because there are so many supports and services at Carleton that will help you walk through and limp across that finish line and get your calculus credit or your algebra credit or whatever it is. There's the Science Student Success Center, there's peer mentorship programs, there's study groups. There are so many opportunities for you to get help, on those courses where you might be struggling with. I mean, maybe you're a math genius, that's great. You won't need those supports and services, but I just think it's really important to highlight that Carleton does a really, really good job at ensuring that all students have access to those supports and services should they need them. Okay, moving along here, we're still in this neuroscience and mental health program. Now we're into year 2. So in year 2, we start to get a little bit more, in depth into our neuroscience courses. So we have things like cellular and molecular neuroscience, where we're going to do a deep dive and look at like, what's going on at the level of one brain cell, and how does that influence activity of the whole system. We'll talk about neurodevelopment and neuroplasticity. That's a really fun course too. So these are all core courses, meaning you have to take these in order to graduate from our program. And then of course, neuroscience being a multidisciplinary field, we do require you to take cell biology and biochemistry, as well as fundamentals of genetics. So these are kind of like foundational biology and biochemistry courses that we will build off of in years 3 and 4. I also want to highlight this white space here. This white space means like freedom and flexibility. You can start to plug and play electives, different courses that you're interested in. One of the really kind of a selling point of the neuroscience and mental health program is that you can have a minor in anything that you want. Maybe you want a minor in music or religious studies or history, or whatever it is that you're interested in. You can kind of build your minor, and you can kind of tailor your degree. So I'm kind of hopping back and forth here, but one of the big differences between the neuroscience and mental health program and the neuroscience and biology combined honors program is that in the neuroscience and mental health, you can kind of tailor that degree to your specific interests. That's not necessarily true for the neuroscience and biology combined honors program. You're essentially double majoring in neuroscience and biology, so you have less freedom and flexibility to tailor your schedule to your specific interests. So again, just kind of highlighting why someone might want to enter into the neuroscience and mental health program or the neuroscience and biology combined honors program. So again, these white spaces here are basically like you can plug in whatever courses you're interested as electives in those spaces. Moving forward to third year, I think this is when our program really gets fun and exciting. We have some amazing courses in third year. Neuropharmacology is one of my favorites. This is a course that I teach. Neuropharmacology is a very fancy way of saying like, how do drugs act on the brain, essentially, right? So we'll go through all the major drug classes: alcohol, cannabis, cocaine and the amphetamines, opioids, psychedelic drugs, all of these. What are these drugs doing to the brain? How does that influence behavior? So that is a really, really fun course to teach. And then I also want to highlight Neuro 3206 and Neuro 3207. So these are core third year courses in our programs that have a teaching lab component. So I do see Dr. Alex Edwards is back here. Alex will be in our booth, and Alex runs the teaching labs for these two courses. So we get our students into the lab, dissecting brains, looking at them under a microscope, putting EEG helmets on your classmates to read their brain waves and kind of, make them do different things and see how that changes the activity of the brain. So really, really fun and exciting labs. I'm also going to show you some pictures of our building, which is another big selling point of our programs. We're in a beautiful, brand new health sciences buildings. Our labs are new, state of the art, very kind of open concept, really, really fun place to be. So I can't wait to show you the teaching labs, one day when we're back on campus. Again, in third year, you have some room for free electives, so you can start, taking other neuroscience courses on different, aspects of neuroscience that you're very interested in, or courses outside of neuroscience. Maybe you're interested in chemistry or geography or dinosaurs. I don't really know what you're interested in, but you can kind of tailor your degree to whatever it is that you're interested in. And then the fourth year is really all about this honors project. So we have a fourth year capstone project called an honors thesis. And essentially, each student will be paired up with a faculty member. So I'm going to show you our faculty in a couple of slides. We have, there's 16 or 17 of us now. It's hard for me to keep track these days. And each one of us has our own area of expertise, for example. Alex and I are very interested in kind of feeding and energy homeostasis. I'm very interested in kind of how stress can lead to obesity and changes feeding patterns and all of this stuff. But there's other faculty members that are interested in substance use and addiction, or mental health, or Parkinson's disease, or and so on and so forth. So in fourth year, you basically find a neuroscience a faculty member that does cool stuff, stuff that you're interested in, and you have a year-long project with that person. So it's kind of like semi-independent. Of course, we're there for support and to guide you through the process, but essentially the students are running their own research project. So they're coming up with a research question, designing an experiment, running that experiment, collecting data, analyzing the data, writing it all up in a nice report, and submitting it. And that's basically the last thing you do and then you're done. You graduate and you move on. So that honors thesis project is really kind of a cool opportunity to get into a neuroscience lab and start running experiments. You'll see here, I want to point out here, it says year 4 or 5. So just in case anyone had questions about that, we do have an option for co-op. Okay. So if you're interested in doing a co-op placement, co-op would be 1 full year. And so that would add a year onto your program, making it a 5-year program instead of a 4-year program. The co-op option is really great. I think Carleton does a really good job in their co-op. I'll say a couple, I don't want to get too far down into the discussion about co-op, but I'll say that Carleton University has kind of a menu of options for students to choose from. So they can say, look, you can do a co-op placement at Health Canada or the Public Health Agency of Canada, or these 5 other companies. And then the student can basically choose from that menu of options where they want to be placed. However, students can also go and do the legwork and find their own co-op placements. Okay, maybe you have a friend or a family member that has like a biotech company that you really want to, some experience working with. No problem. You can actually go to the Carleton Co-op office and say, I really want to get involved with this company. And the Carleton Co-op office will liaise with that company and try to work out details about what a co-op placement would look like. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. Carleton will have options ready for you. You don't have to do any thinking, any work. You just kind of sign up and go. Or you can actually do the work and find your own placement, and the co-op office will do everything in their power to make that happen. So again, that would add another year to your program, making it a 5-year program instead of a 4-year program. Okay, what next? So it says BSc Neuroscience Honors. Honestly, that's a really dumb title, and it has been changed. This slide is just out of date. We now call this program the Neuroscience and Biology Combined Honors Program, and the name says everything. It is a combined honors. You're doing a major in neuroscience and a major in biology. And this is great if you're interested in biology and human anatomy. Maybe you want to go to med school or something afterwards. This is a really good program for you. The one kind of the biggest difference here is that you have less freedom and flexibility to take electives, right? So you less white space in this chart here, because you have all of these neuroscience courses you have to take, and you have all of these biology courses that you have to take. I don't want to say there's no opportunity for free electives. There is, but you just have less flexibility in what you can fit into your schedule. And you cannot do a minor if you're in this program. So going back to the neuroscience and mental health program, there is room for a minor. So you could do a neuroscience and mental health with a minor in psychology, or a minor in computer science, or a minor in whatever, music. With the combined honors, there's no opportunity for a minor, right? Again, because you're double majoring. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if you have any questions about that. So first year is the exact same. No difference to what I explained in the neuroscience and mental health program. You have your 2 introductory neuroscience courses, and then you have your bio, chem, physics, math. Second year looks very, very similar, but there's more mandatory biology and chemistry courses. So you can see here, animal forms and functions. This is a really good course. This is kind of a classic, rite of passage course, if you will. First time, students will really get into a lab and start, dissecting and learning all about anatomy. That's a really fun course. Your third year, again, the same core neuroscience courses. We have neuropharmacology, and then we have sensory motor and integrative neuroscience. Again, these 2 neuroscience courses here have the teaching labs associated with them. So you're working with Alex and Lindsay, you're in the lab, you're doing hands-on applied neuroscience. And again, mandatory biology courses here. Okay. And then fourth year is more of the same. You have that fourth year honors project. If you're in the neuroscience and biology combined honors program, you can do your honors project in biology or in neuroscience, or maybe kind of half and half. You can be co-supervised by someone in neuroscience and biology. So there's a lot of options there for your fourth year honors project. So that's a look at our 2 programs. Again, these are the first standalone neuroscience programs in our country. They really do reflect kind of the modern current state of affairs in our field. And each program has, different strengths, I suppose, right? The neuroscience and mental health has more flexibility, allows you to do a minor. The neuroscience and biology has less flexibility, but you're double majoring in both neuroscience and biology. Okay. Let's see, where are we at next? Okay, so why choose Carleton Neuroscience? I probably said a lot of this already, so I'll just skim through this. I think our students are the selling point of our program. I honestly think that. So again, I know that we're in this live session here, but we do have a booth, a neuroscience booth, and we invited 2 real live students to join us. They're not being held hostage. They are volunteering their time. Our students are amazing. They really are an engaged student body. We have something called a peer mentorship program, where our first year incoming students are paired up with a more senior second, third, or fourth year student, and can just be there as a support system. What classes should I take? What classes should I avoid? Is this Dr. Patterson guy, as crazy as he looks? So you can ask people who have been there before you questions to hopefully make that transition a little easier. I love the peer mentorship program. It's something new. We actually just started doing it kind of because of COVID, and our students were feeling kind of disconnected and disengaged. But this is definitely something that we're doing moving forward. We have a very strong professional network. Our students graduate and go all over the world and do really amazing things. And these students are willing to kind of give back to the Carleton neuroscience community. So we have a very strong alumni network. And I think this just translates to opportunities for our current students, to see what you can do with this degree. You just look at what our former students, our past students are doing, and it really is quite inspiring. We have a student-centered faculty. Okay, so we hire based on fit. In our department, in the neuroscience department, we really take our teaching very seriously and our student mentorship very seriously. So we have research excellence. We have some of the best neuroscience researchers in the country. However, they're hired because they have both research excellence, and they're also very serious about student mentorship and teaching. So that is a point of pride. You'll hear me say that, over and over and over again. We do both. We have the teaching excellence. We also have the research excellence, and that is something that we're very, very proud of. And that's basically what I say here, teaching and research excellence. And then finally, location, location, location. I wish that I could show you, the building that we were in when I was a student. I'm sure many of you just wouldn't come to Carleton. We were kind of in this and Dr. Alex Edwards can attest to this. We were in this kind of like gross basement with very little natural light, and it kind of smelled weird, and that's where we did all of our work. Now we're in this beautiful brand new health sciences building. I say brand new, it's like literally still under construction. It's not even finished yet. That's how new it is. This is our big lecture hall. We had an in-person version of this presentation last weekend, and we were actually in this room. I kind of like this picture because it looks like this student here is freaking out, which has probably happened, once or twice in this room. But it's just kind of a really kind of nice, clean, very open lecture hall. And then these are our teaching labs. So this is where Alex and Lindsay do their thing. The teaching labs don't look like this anymore. There's a little bit more like hustle and bustle about them. There's people in there doing work, but you can kind of see it's just a kind of an open concept, very collaborative space. We have brand new equipment. What a wonderful place to work. Honestly, it really is a fantastic place to be. So location, location, location. I think our building is a huge selling point to our programs. This is our faculty. I obviously don't really have time to kind of introduce everyone. Oh, this is Alex here. Again, you might see Alex pop in and out. He's over in the booth too, if you ever want to talk to Alex about what the teaching labs are all about. And what do I want to say? Zul Morali is a highlight of our program, the former CEO of the Royal Mental Health Hospital here in Ottawa. We have a really kind of diverse set of faculty members. We research everything from Parkinson's disease to depression, substance use and addiction, obesity, you name it, chronic pain, for example. We have researchers that are interested in all these different kind of niches within our field. And this just translates to more opportunities for our students. It really, whatever you're interested in, we probably have someone doing work in that space. And so again, if you're thinking about your fourth year honors project, it's like, well, if you're really interested in substance use and addiction, there are 2 or 3 researchers that focus on that area. So you can partner up with them and you can do your honors thesis focused in that area. Maybe you're interested in Parkinson's disease. We happen to have probably one of the world's leading experts in Parkinson's disease in Dr. Sean Haley. So our students could go, learn from Sean and really kind of get their feet wet in that specific area within the field of neuroscience. So that's our faculty and great people to work with and very kind of student centered. All of them love taking on students. They love the mentorship aspect of their role. And I think that really does separate us from a lot of the other programs. I already, mentioned teaching excellence, so I'm probably going to skip this slide here. Last year, Dr. Kim Hellmans, who's right here, won the Ministry of Colleges and Universities Ministers Award of Excellence. That's kind of a mouthful, but this was like a federal, a nationally recognized award. One person got it in the entire country, and it was our very own Kim Hellmans. I won't go through all of the other awards and accolades. That's probably very boring for you. But all of this to say is we really do take teaching seriously, and we have some of the best teachers the university has to offer. It will make a difference in your undergraduate experience if you have people that want to be there and want to teach you all the cool things that we know. So I mentioned we have a very diverse set of faculty members. I've kind of listed some of the major areas that we do research. So stress and mental health, stress and resilience, concussions. That's another really kind of up and coming area of interest in our field. Indigenous health, we have Dr. Kim Matheson, who does a lot of work with Indigenous folks, and Parkinson's disease, I mentioned, chronic pain, neurodevelopment, obesity. So really the kind of the whole gamut here, we've got it covered. And again, this is, this really allows students to do research on things that they are actually interested in, as opposed to doing research on something someone else is interested in, which is not nearly as much fun. We do have many opportunities for students to get involved in research right away in their undergraduate career. So first, second year students are in the labs working with one of our faculty members. There are paid internships available. So for example, the Dean's Summer Research Internship. So this is during the summer, kind of like between the end of one academic school year and the start of another. There are opportunities for students to get a paid internship where they're in the lab every day, working with myself or one of the other faculties, getting hands-on researching experience, and also getting paid to do it. Really, good opportunity for our students. And there's many of these. So the Summer NSERC Fellowship is the same thing. The internship, Carleton University Research Experience for undergraduate students, the iCurious Award, as it's known, is like a full year paid internship where the dean's office is, paying students a salary to get involved in a neuroscience research lab. So again, so many opportunities for our students to get involved in things that they're really interested in doing. Okay, so normally I would have students with me, but in this virtual world, I figured it might be a little choppy to kind of bounce back and forth between speakers. But we do have 2 students in our booth, and they're there, ready to kind of have an open and honest conversation with you about, what the transition from high school to university was like, what are things that they like about our program or don't like about our program. Really, these students are here on their own time. And again, we're not holding them hostage. We're not forcing them to say anything, but it's a great opportunity for you to pop into our booth and ask our students questions, and hear from them. It's one thing for me to stand up here and say our program's so great, our faculty members are excellent. It's a totally other thing to hear it from our current students. So I would encourage you to pop over and say hi to them. I talked about our students being engaged and being, a highlight of our program. There are so many student-run, student-led initiatives. So we have the Carleton Neuroscience Society, or the CNS. We have, Brain Awareness Week, where we actually go out to local high schools. Our students and our faculty will go out to local high schools and talk to elementary school kids about the brain, or high school kids about the brain. And that's really fun. Our students, get involved in that. The Neuroscience and Mental Health Art Show hasn't happened, in the COVID era, but every year we would throw an art show, and we would auction off all this neuroscience art, and we would raise money for a good local cause. So our students were really engaged in that. We have a neuro prom, a Christmas party. There's a coffee with a prof event coming up next week, I think, that I'm involved in, where basically we're just going to sit on a Zoom call and kind of hang out, very informally, very casually, but it's an opportunity for the students to meet their professors in a more casual setting and just talk, just ask questions about whatever you're interested in. So all of these events are student run, and it's really a reflection of how engaged our students are and how much they genuinely like being in our programs. Okay, so we're getting to the end here. Just a couple more slides, and then I'll stop talking. I said the most common question I get is, what is neuroscience? I would say the second most common question I get is, what the heck can I do with a degree in neuroscience? I would say really the sky's the limit. So many things you can do with a degree in neuroscience. We've just recently, over the last couple of years, started to track where our students are going quite systematically. So we're really trying to capture some hard data of when our students graduate, what are they doing with their lives? Where are they going? What kinds of jobs are they getting? So this is kind of our most up-to-date story that we've gotten from former students. So about 25% of our undergraduate students stay in science. They either go into clinical research or they stay more in the academic research world. They might go on and do their master's and their PhD. Both Alex and I did this. So Alex, Dr. Edwards, and myself are products of this program. And we both kind of stuck around. We like the academic research world, and that was kind of our career trajectories. About 20% of our students end up in healthcare. So they go off into med school and become doctors. They become psychologists, speech pathologists, occupational therapists, et cetera, et cetera. There is a huge kind of bucket, healthcare bucket, that a really significant proportion of our students go into. Maybe the third most common, actually these days it might take over for the most common question is like, can I get into med school from this program? So yes, absolutely. A lot of our students will end up applying to med school and getting in all over the country, even abroad. We've had some students, go to med school in the States or somewhere else internationally. And then 20% of our students pursue graduate studies. So I kind of looped graduate studies in here, which was my mistake. So that is continuing in other science jobs like the government, non-government organizations. But another big chunk of our students will stay in academia and pursue graduate students. Other known positions are knowledge brokers, policy analysts. This policy analyst seems to be a very kind of up and coming area that our students go into. So if you look at like the policymakers, the decision makers that really impact all the citizens in our country, like they really should understand science and know what the science is saying so that the science can inform policy. But a lot of times those politicians, the decision makers, they don't understand the science. So there's this huge need right now for scientists, people who understand the fundamentals of science, to get in and sit down at that table and say, this is what the evidence says. Therefore, we should implement this policy or make this decision that impacts our entire country. So I actually think that this kind of policy analyst job is one of the, kind of one of the up and comers of where I see a lot of our students going. What next? Connecting with the Neuroscience Alumni. Again, it's one thing for me to sit up here and tell you, here's all the great things that you can do with a degree in neuroscience. It's quite another to see it for yourself. So we have really started to formally create a network of neuroscience alumni. You can, I think we have an Instagram page set up. We have a LinkedIn page set up where you can actually see where our alumni are in the world. If you go back to our booth, you can find out a lot of that information. I do have a video up there from some of our former students kind of describing where they are now and their careers, the journey that they took to get to their current careers. And we'll also have all of our social accounts linked from our booth. So again, you can actually just see for yourself, this is where, these are where neuroscience students end up in Health Canada, in med school, kind of all over the place. And then co-op opportunities. I did mention this already, but just a little bit more details on the co-op. So honors students in the neuroscience and biology combined honors program or the neuroscience and mental health program can opt to do a co-op position. Typically it occurs between third and fourth year. So your first 3 years are just like anyone else, no different. But then if you're a co-op student, you literally take a year off from your studies and you do a full year co-op placement. And then you come back and you finish up your fourth year of your classes. And so it's a 5-year program at that point. I do think the co-op is a really good option for a lot of our students. It kind of separates you from the pack a little bit. There's a lot of students with an undergraduate degree. So what separates you from the rest of them? Well, co-op could be one of those options that helps kind of separate you from the pack. And also you get real life work experience. And this is one of the biggest knocks on going to university at all. It's like, you don't have any hands-on experience. You don't have any job experience, right? So you graduate with a 4-year degree, and some people really struggle to find jobs because people don't want to hire new people. So this co-op option is a really good solution to that problem. You can graduate with your undergraduate degree, but you already have a year of work experience under your belt. Employers want that. They want to know that you're capable of, showing up every day and having responsibilities and doing all of these things, right? So that co-op option, is a really good idea if that's something you're interested in. And a lot of students will like, oh, another year, like this is crazy, but really a year flies by. And the difference between 4 and 5 years in the grand scheme of things is really not that much. Our students are graduating so young, at 20, 21 years old, and it's like, so to add another year onto your undergraduate degree, I think is actually probably a better thing. You're that much more mature, that much more about yourself, your priorities, what you want out of life, and you're just, in a better position to take that next step. So anyways, I won't say much more about co-op here. I only have a couple minutes left, but if you want to chat more about co-op, shoot over to our booth after, and we can chat more. I think that's it. That's all I have for you. So thank you very much for taking the time to sit through this presentation. I know it's a little bit weird in the virtual world, but I'm happy to see people attending here. And again, I will, after this, happy to answer any questions, but I'll also go back to our booth and I'll be there for another couple hours. So plenty of opportunity to connect if you want. So maybe I'll just, I don't know what to do. Should I scroll through the chat here and see if there's any questions? Okay, I see Alex has been answering questions, so he's probably got them all. Jalil, was there any other questions that I need to answer? Okay, let's see. I'm just trying to, unanswered. Oh, I see. Okay, I'm starting to learn here. Okay, so there is one question. Can you take these courses, 3204, 3206, if you aren't majoring in neuroscience? I'm going to major in psychology, so would that work? So that's a really good question. The answer is yes, although the spots in those classes are reserved for neuroscience majors first, and then whatever remaining spots are opened up to everyone else. So I'll explain that a little bit more. If you're a neuroscience major, you have to take those courses to graduate, right? It's mandatory. So we do reserve those seats for neuroscience majors first. And then if there's 20 extra seats or 25 extra seats, then those are opened up for psychology majors or anyone else. So absolutely, you can take Neuro 3204, Neuro 3206, etc. if you're a non-neuroscience major. But you might have to wait a little bit before you register in those courses. And I know for Neuro 3204, I teach this course and we offer it 3 times a year: fall, winter, summer. So honestly, you can take that course no matter what. 3206 and 3207, the ones that have a lab component to them, those are ones where it might be a little trickier because we reserve those spots for neuroscience majors. Okay, the next question I see: what is the size of the neuroscience and mental health program? What's funny is in first year, we admit about 100-ish students every year. And then that number actually starts to grow in second and third year. Why? Because people from psychology or from other disciplines will take a neuroscience course, realize how amazing it is, and then switch into our program. So this is very unique in our university, but we actually see our numbers increasing in second and third and fourth year, where other programs will see a decrease in their numbers over that time. So about 100 new students a year, give or take, and then those numbers actually increase in second, third, and fourth year because more and more students will switch into neuroscience because we're awesome and it's a lot of fun. Answered. Oh, Jalil, you're on top of this. Okay, so I think, is there any other unanswered questions? Oh, okay, here. Is it possible to go from neuroscience and bio combined honors to the neuroscience and mental health program? Absolutely, it is. I always say, the hardest thing is just getting into university. Maybe people will be mad at me for saying this, but I honestly believe that once you're in university, it's really hard for them to kick you out. And it's much easier to move around kind of laterally from one discipline to the next, or from the neuroscience and biology to the neuroscience and mental health program. Those are really, really easy switches, especially from the neuroscience and biology combined honors to the neuroscience and mental health, or vice versa. Those are very easy switches because your first year is identical. Most of your second year is identical. So let's say you go through first year and you're in the neuroscience and biology combined honors program, and you're hearing, or you're kind of thinking, the neuroscience and mental health might be a better fit for you. Well, you haven't missed out anything, right? Your first year was identical. So you switch programs, you're not a step behind, you're right at the same level as everyone else, and you can continue on. So I think getting into university is like the hardest step. Once you're in, there's a lot of freedom to kind of move around between programs and figure out, what you want to do. I always say to my students, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you're interested in until it like smacks you in the face, right? And so this happens all the time. Maybe you didn't know you were interested in neuroscience and mental health, but you take one course and that light bulb goes off and it's like, oh, this is really, really cool stuff. So there's always options to switch into those programs. Okay, I think there is a couple more unanswered. So one is it possible to do exchange with this program? So yes, it is. I'm probably not the best person to ask about that, but I do know I have had students that have done exchange programs. For example, there was one in Germany a couple years ago that many of our students applied to. It was very competitive. I think only one got it. But this student went to Germany and studied in a neuroscience lab for a year and then came back. So I don't know all the details about the exchange programs, but I do know it's possible. And I would be happy to connect you with someone who could tell you more about that. And then I think there's only one more unanswered. So it says, I missed a lot of the presentation, so not sure if this was mentioned, but is this the, oh, and now it's gone. I don't see it anymore. Oh, there it is. I see it now. Okay. Is this program generally good for medical school? As in, would there be any MCAT prep? Yes, absolutely. What can I tell you? My wife went to Carleton in the neuroscience program and is now a family doctor here in Ottawa. So she is living proof that you can do it. Many of our students, I would say that's probably the most popular option, to be honest, is like if I polled 100 of our students, maybe 80 of them would say they want to go to med school. Of course, not all 80 of them will get in, but many, many, many people use both of our programs as stepping stones to, write the MCAT and get into medical school. We do teach like foundational science, right? Your first year bio, first year chem, first year physics, like that's really what the MCAT is about, is kind of like that, that basic science component. So we do a lot of that. And I'm kind of repeating myself here, but yes, many, many of our students will take our programs and successfully apply to med school. So I think that's all the questions there. So thank you so much to everyone for coming. Again, I'm going to hop back into our booth. So if you had a question that you didn't get asked, or you want to sit down and chat a little bit more, please come find us at our booth, and I'd be happy to see you there. So I think that's it for me. I'm going to sign off, and good luck, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck with whatever program you decide to apply for. I know it's a really exciting time, so best of luck.